Hello everyone, it's Lindsay and it is Tip Tuesday and I figured it out. During my unboxing of the Grace and Gratitude Devotional Kit from Illustrated Faith and Dayspring, I mentioned the printable that you get from Dayspring and how they send you the digital stamp file. And I wanted to figure out how to pair this with a Silhouette Cameo cutting machine and cut out die cuts for your stamps. And I figured it out. So what I'm going to be able to show you here in just a second is how to cut out cardstock outlines basically that you can stamp your stamps onto and then have these custom die cuts all set to go. And it's a little bit of work, it's a little bit fussy, but if you already have the supplies, then I would say put them to work. And this is especially great if you're going to be maybe creating multiples of some of these images to use again and again in your entries, and this way it saves you time from fussy cutting. So once it's initially set up in your computer, it's pretty easy and straightforward after that. So let's go ahead and jump on over to my computer screen and I'll show you how to manipulate this file in Silhouette Studio and get it set up to cut out, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to stamp it. So let's go take a look over there. Okay, so we're over here in Silhouette Studio. I am using the Designer Edition and I am working on a Windows. So if you have anything different from that, I'm not sure that I can answer your questions if it's different from what I have, but I will try to, so leave them in the comments. But so this is what I'm working with. And so I just have a basic 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper opened up in Silhouette Studio, and I wanted to show you how I bring files into Silhouette Studio. So I've done a few different tutorials using this program, and so I wanted to show you some things that are different about this one. So this is the file that was sent to me by Dayspring, and that is the file that you get when you purchase the Grace and Gratitude Kit from them. They'll email you this file, and so for Windows, I'm just gonna drag and drop this file into Silhouette Studio. And you can see here it's importing a PDF, and this PDF file has multiple pages. So I wanna make sure that I navigate to the page that's got my digital stamp set, which is page number 2. Now, when I initially moved this over, I usually import things as a vector. However, this file has some errors on it in the vector form, and so I'm gonna go ahead and import as an image. And I like to bump the DPI up to 300. That's just a standard printing DPI. So if I did want to print this, I could do that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about what that is, but these are just kind of my setup for importing it. So I can go ahead and import that, and it's going to bring that file into Silhouette Studio. Now the key for this to work is you want to make sure that you do not resize this page once it's moved into Silhouette Studio. Now when it is moved in, I'm going to show you here if I rotate this, it's actually imported it as an image that is slightly larger than 8.5 by 11. So if you were to print this, it would be, you know, bigger than your page, which isn't a huge deal because it's white space out here, but do not make this smaller to fit within that 8.5 by 11. You want it to be the size that it imports in, because this is the size that works with the stamp set. So we need to make these into cut lines, because currently the cut line is this rectangle. So like in some of my previous tutorials, we're going to go ahead and create some cut lines. So I'm going to come over here and grab my select trace box. This is the trace panel over here. Select trace area, and then I'm going to click and drag a box around the area that I want to trace. And we are only focusing on the digital stamp set. Of course, you could come in and do a print and cut with these leaves, but I'm not going to show that in this video. I have other videos kind of showing how to do that. But I have my bounding box here, and I'm going to go ahead and bump the threshold all the way up to 100. This image is black on white and it's pretty clean, and so I don't really have too much of a problem by going all the way up. If you're getting some weird fuzziness and things like that, you can kind of back it down, you know, to less threshold, but 100 seems to work. I don't need to mess with any of these other settings because once again, it is black on white, so it's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna go ahead and click on Trace Outer Edge because I want cut lines on just the outsides of these images. I can go ahead and grab my color image and delete that, get rid of it. We're just gonna work with the outlines here. So there are some things going on here. Now, if I was to just go ahead and cut this out, these lines would be right up against my stamped lines, and I don't necessarily want that. I want a little bit of wiggle room. I want a little bit of a border on my die cuts. So I'm gonna go ahead and just click on this image. It's all one. It looks a little funny, but that's okay. We're gonna clean it up in just a minute here. First, we're gonna create an offset. So if I come on over here to the star offset panel, go ahead and click offset. I've done some playing around and experimenting, and I have found that 0.035 seems to be the setting that works the best with this stamp set. And I like my corners sharp, but you can pick whatever works for you. I'll go ahead and hit apply, and you can see now I have a border around all of this. So while everything is still selected, I can go ahead and click on the innermost border and drag that out of the way. We no longer need that. So now I've got my offset cut images. So now we need to go through and clean some things up. The stamp set for the word thankful, or the stamp itself, is actually one entire piece. Now, I played around with this quite a bit, and it was kind of fussy to try to get it all connected, so I'm not going to worry about having that one included. You can fuss it and make it work for you, but I just wasn't able to get it work, so I'm not going to worry about it. This piece here is the definition stamp. I'm not going to worry about that one. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. I don't plan on having a whole bunch of those die cut out, but you could if you wanted to. This is one of the reasons why I like that 0.035, is because it does keep all of the hearts connected just like they are on the stamp, so that seemed to work. Now, I have found when cutting cardstock that all of these little pieces don't always cut too well, so I want to go ahead and get rid of some of those so I have nice clean cuts. So if I take this pumpkin, for instance, I'm going to right click, release compound path, and that's going to let me free up all the pieces that are in there. If I hold down the shift button, click on the outer outline, now all I have isolated is that piece I want to get rid of, so I can click delete. This is better seen in something like this leaf. So this leaf has a whole bunch of little pieces I want to get rid of. So if I right click, release compound, hold shift, click on the outer outline. Now all I have highlighted are the innermost pieces that I'm going to delete. Let's see, grateful is another one. I'm going to go ahead and right click, release compound path, shift click on the outer outline, and delete all the inner pieces there. Everything else looks pretty good. Let's fix this one here. Okay, now this washi here, now it's actually, both stamps are the exact same shape. This one is dots and this one's stripes. And so this is trying to pick up on the dots. I don't really want that. I want it to look like a piece of washi tape like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just delete this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and create a copy of this one. So I'm gonna click on it, Control C is copy, Control V is paste, and now I've got 2 of those. So everything else looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and drag a box around all of those, click or hit Control G to group them together, or you can right click and group. And then now all my pieces are together. Now I'm going to go ahead and maximize my space, because I am cutting out of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So I'm going to cut these out multiple times. So if I click on this, Control C, Control V, that's copy and paste. Now I've got another one. I can go ahead and hit Control V, copy another one, oops, and then Control V and get a 4th one. And of course you can always right click to copy, right click to paste. I just like the shortcuts of Control C and Control V. So I already have this, oh nope, I thought I did. Already laid out. I don't. So let's go ahead and make sure that everything is inside my red bounding box here. Everything looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to my machine to cut out. So if I go ahead and send this, I will link down below the type of cardstock that I'm using. Your cut settings are just going to differ depending on what medium that you're cutting out of. I'm cutting out of some cardstock I think I got from Walmart, but I will link it down below. And with that cardstock, I'm using a blade setting of 3, a speed of 10, and a force of 20. It is a fairly new cut blade. So if you're going to use that same cardstock, you can use these settings. And I am doing 2 passes just to get a clean cut. So I'm going to go ahead and send that to my Silhouette Cameo, cut it out, and then I'll meet you over at my desk and show you the other tool I'm using to get good stamped impressions. Okay, so just ignore my dirty mat, but everything is cut out on this cardstock. You'll see if I lift this up here, all those little pieces are cut out. Now don't throw this away. You want to use this as a template. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut out one of these little squares here, or rectangles. And this is going to be our template. So you can take these off and stamp these with a stamp block. So if I take the stamp, this little bunny, load it up onto a stamp block, ink it up, and then get right over the top of it. I could stamp this with a stamp block, and I did that and it was okay. I got okay results. You can see here it's slightly off center, so you can do that, but I would say this would be a good time to pull out a stamp positioning tool, and that's why I saved this piece here. So I have my Tim Holtz stamp positioning tool, and so let me just set that to the side there, and I'll show you how to use this to get really good lined up impressions here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my template into the stamp positioning tool and use my magnets to hold that down, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay my stamp side down right into the little cutout part. I'm going to get my head right on top just to make sure I'm centered. Okay, and since it's a clear stamp, I can see and make sure that I am in a good position in that little spot there. Close the door and pick it up. Now, before I ink that up and stamp it down, I want to go ahead and put my little bunny die cut piece right into that little slot. And then now I can go ahead and ink up my bunny. I'm just using some Versamagic chalk ink. I'll go ahead and ink that up. And then I can close the door down. And then now I have a perfectly stamped little bunny right in the center of that die cut piece. How awesome is that? And so you could even use your markers to color in different areas and then stamp it down. There's a lot of different things that you could do with this, but now I've got this perfectly little die cut bunny. Instead of stamping down on cardstock and then fussy cutting it all out and doing that over and over and over and being a pain, now that it's all set up, I can just do this again and again. So I will save this file in my Silhouette Studio program. I can cut it out whenever I want, and then I can, you know, now that that's all set up, I can just go in and do several bunnies over and over and over again, different colors, whatever I want to do, and it's all set up. So make sure you save your template once it's all set up. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Computer tutorials aren't always the easiest for me, so if I left something out, please ask me down below and I'll let you know how to do something, hopefully. Check out the description box for links to everything I mentioned. The kit for Grace and Gratitude is currently on for sale over at Dayspring, so go check that out. I'll have that link down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos, and until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.